Welcome back to today's session. In the previous sessions, we learned what is game theory and we saw how to solve a problem which has a pure strategy or which has a saddle point. Then we saw if at all there is no saddle point available and the structure of the game is a 2 cross 2 game, how to solve it using formula method we have seen. Our next step is solving a game which is of the structure 2 cross n or m cross 2 and it does not have a saddle point, right? Now let me consider a 2 cross n game. What do you mean by 2 cross n game? It should have 2 rows and more than 2 columns, right? It should have 2 rows, A1 and A2, and the number of columns should be more than 2. See, here we have B1, B2, B3, so on up to Bn. Okay? So therefore it is a 2 cross n game. And in this case, let the mixed strategy for player A be given by SA, which is P1 and P2. P1 and P2 are the mixed strategies of A because there is no choice. There are only two strategies for A. But for B, we have multiple strategies available. Out of that, we are supposed to select the optimal two, right? That is what is the aim of the problem. We are supposed to reduce the 2 cross n matrix to a 2 cross 2 matrix. So the player B would like to choose a pure strategy Bj against SA for which the expected payoff is minimum. So the aim of player B is to minimize his losses. Therefore, he will select two strategies out of the n strategies available which will lead to a minimum loss. The objective of player A is to select P1 and P2 in such a way that the value of the game is as large as possible. So player A will be interested in maximizing his chance of gain or his chance of victory. Player B wants to minimize his chance of losses. Player A wants to increase his chances of victory, right? This may be done by plotting straight lines as linear functions of P1. So we will try to plot the points graphically as straight lines. Each pair, A11, A21 will be one pair, A12, A22 will be one pair, A13, A23 will be another pair. So such pairs of coordinates will be plotted like straight lines. The highest point, remember, the highest point on the lower boundary of these lines will give us maximum value among the minimum expected payoffs. So it is a maxi-min value, fine, of expected payoffs on the lower envelope and the optimum value of probability P1 and P2. Now, the two strategies of player B corresponding to those lines which pass through the maxi-min point can be determined. So our basic aim is to plot all straight lines for all the pairs. After plotting, we will identify the lower envelope, right? We will identify the lower envelope. After identifying the lower envelope, we will choose the highest point highest point on the lower envelope. That will be our maximin value. And those lines, those two lines which get involved in the point of intersection, those will be the two optimal strategies for B. Okay? This helps to reduce the size of the game to a 2 cross 2 game. See, when we have only two rows and multiple columns, we consider the lower envelope and the highest point on the lower envelope. Hope the concept is clear. Now, we will see the case of M cross 2 game. That is, we have only two columns but more number of rows. Okay, I have only two columns, B1 and B2, but I have multiple rows, A1, A2, A3, so on up to AM. In this case, how to solve? We will just have a look. Let the mixed strategy of player B be given by SB, which is Q1 and Q2. So player B does not have any options. He has only two strategies, B1 and B2. So he will be using them in the probabilities Q1 and Q2. But player A has a choice. The player A would like to choose a pure strategy AI against SB, for which the expected payoff is maximum. He will be trying to maximize his chance of victory. The objective of player B is to select Q1 and Q2 in such a way that the value of the game is as small as possible. He wants to minimize his chances of failure. This may be done by plotting straight lines as linear functions of Q1. So here the pairs will not be the top and bottom. It will be left and right pairs. A11, A12, A21, A22, A31, A32, so on, AM1, AM2. These will be the pairs. Using these pairs, we will plot the straight lines. The lowest point, remember, the lowest point on the upper boundary of these lines will give the minimum value among the maximum expected payoffs. That means to say we are supposed to consider the upper envelope. In the upper envelope, the lowest point has to be taken on the upper envelope and the optimum value of the probability Q1 and Q2. Now the two strategies of player A corresponding to those lines which pass through the minimax point can be determined. So the point that is generated as a point of intersection, and this point has to be the lowest point on the upper envelope. So those two lines which were involved in the minimax point will be the two optimal strategies for player A. Okay, this helps to reduce the size of the game to a 2 cross 2 game. See, hope the general method you have understood. See, when you have 2 cross n, lower envelope has to be considered. When you have m cross 2, you are supposed to consider the upper envelope. When lower envelope is considered, the highest point has to be taken. When the upper envelope is considered, the lowest point has to be taken. So in the lower envelope, the uppermost point is maximin value, whereas in the upper envelope, the lowest point is minimax value. Okay? After we have identified this, based on the type of the problem, if the problem is 2 cross n, By using the lower envelope, we will reduce the problem to a 2 cross 2 problem. If it is m cross 2 problem, then also by considering the upper envelope, we will reduce the problem size to 2 cross 2. Once it becomes a 2 cross 2 problem, then the overall process is very simple. Apply the formula, get the solution. That's it. Okay? Hope the concept is clear. So for us to understand this problem far more clearly, what we will do is, we will consider one problem of type 2 cross n and one problem of type m cross 2, and we will solve it. And believe me, this is very simple problem. There is nothing to worry. It is a very simple problem. Okay? So just have a look at the problem. You will be able to understand it. So let us consider the problem. Solve the following 2 cross 3 game. So as soon as a game is given, what are you supposed to do first? Check whether there is a saddle point or not. Right? Here the row minima is 1. Here the row minima is 2. Here the column maxima is 8. Column maxima is 5. Column maxima is 11. So there is no match between the row minima and the column maxima. Right? There is no match. Therefore, that means to say the problem does not have a saddle point. If the problem does not have a saddle point, next look at the structure. So it is not a 2 cross 2 game. So it is 2 cross 3, or in simple or in general 2 cross n game. So it is a 2 cross n game. So I am supposed to apply graphical method for this. This much we have understood. Now we will go into solving the problem. Since the problem does not possess any saddle point, let player A play the mixed strategy SA, which is A1 with P1, A2 with P2, and P2 is 1 minus P1 against player B. So first we are supposed to identify the pair of points for which we will be drawing the straight line. So the pair of points are B1 with 1, 8, B2 with 3, 5, B3 with 11, 2. So what are the pair of points? 1, 8, 3, 5 and 11, 2. Now we are supposed to plot it in a graph. So how to plot it in a graph? Put two parallel lines. Call it axis 1 and axis 2. Right? For every centimeter, put a marking. See here, all the values are positive. Therefore, I don't have to consider negative values. I will start with 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Maximum value that I had is 11. So therefore, up to 12, I will make markings on both sides. Okay, I will make marking on both sides. 0 to 12. Next, what were the points involved? First point B1 was 1, 8. 1, 8. So listen carefully. The first value should start from axis 2. See, actually the point is 1, 8. But you are supposed to read it as 8, 1. So from axis 2, 1 has to be taken. And from axis 1, 8 has to be taken. So in the reverse order. Okay? So from 1 to 8, I will put a line, and this line is B1. Second point was B2, 3, 5. So 3 in axis 2, 5 in axis 1. I will draw a straight line, that is B2. Okay? Next, what was the next point? B3 was 11, 2. So 11 in axis 2 and 2 in axis 1. I will join a line I will call it B3. Okay, all the three lines are drawn. Now identify the lower envelope. Because it is a 2 cross n game, identify the lower envelope, lowermost portion, lowermost covered region in the graph. So this was the lowermost region. So in this lowermost region, which is the highest point, topmost point, this, right? This is the point of intersection where I have the topmost point or the highest point in the lower envelope. So this will be your maximin value. Which are the two lines involved in the intersection? B3 is one line and B2 is another line. So B1 can be skipped. So leave away B1. So your new matrix will be A1, A2, B2, B3. B1 is skipped. So my new matrix is 3, 5, 11, 2. See, only 3, 5, 11, 2 is considered. B1 is skipped out. So 1, 8 you can leave. Okay. So the lines involved are B2, B3. Therefore, it is the matrix now gets reduced to a 2 cross 2 matrix, 3, 5 and 11, 2. Now, once you have got a 2 cross 2 matrix, you know how to apply the formula method. So the matrix is 3, 5, 11, 2. A11 is 3. A12 is 11. A21 is 5. A22 is 2. So the optimal mixed strategies will be for A1 it is P1, for A2 it is P2. For SB, though we have skipped B1, its corresponding probability I will write it as 0. Whichever we skip, its corresponding probability we will take as 0. For the remaining two, B2 and B3, it is Q1 and Q2. So now calculate P1, A22 minus A21 divided by A11 plus A22 minus A12 plus A21. So it will be 2 minus 5 divided by 3 plus 2 minus 11 plus 5. So it will give us minus 3 by minus 11, minus by minus, those two minus will get cancelled. So the probability that I get is 3 by 11. So P1 is 3 by 11. So what will be P2? 1 minus P1. So 1 minus 3 by 11 is 8 by 11. So P1 and P2 are calculated. Next, calculate Q1. Q1 will be A22 minus A12 divided by A11 plus A22 minus A12 plus A21. So it will be 2 minus 11 divided by 3 plus 2 minus 11 plus 5. So I will get the answer as 9 by 11. So if Q1 is 9 by 11, what is Q2? It is 1 minus Q1. So 1 minus 9 by 11 is 2 by 11. So I have now the values of P1, P2, Q1 and Q2. Next thing that I am supposed to do is find the value of the game. Because I am supposed to solve the game, I am supposed to calculate, I should calculate value of the game. So the value of the game is A11, A22 minus A21, A12 divided by A11 plus A22 minus A21 plus A12. Okay. So it will be 3 into 2 minus 11 into 5 divided by 3 plus 2 minus 11 plus 5. So it will be 6 minus 55 by minus 11. So both sides you get minus, the minus gets cancelled. So the result or the value of the game will be 49 by 11. So the value of the game is 49 by 11. Next, we are supposed to write the optimal strategies. Optimal strategy SA will be P1 and P2, right? So P1 is 3 by 11, P2 is 8 by 11. So SA optimal strategies are written. What about SB? So for B1 it is 0. I will write it as 0. For B2 it is Q1. So Q1 is 9 by 11. I write 9 by 11. Then for B3 it is Q2. Q2 is 2 by 11. So I write 2 by 11. So the problem is solved. The goal of the problem was to find out the value of the game and the optimal strategies for player A and player B. We have done both. So the problem is solved. Any doubt with this problem? Right. Shall we move on to the next problem, which will be an M cross 2 game? So consider the next problem. Solve the following 6 cross 2 game. So first check whether it has a saddle point. It is not having a saddle point. So therefore, check the structure of the problem. The problem is not a 2 cross 2 game. The structure is 6 cross 2. So in general, it is M cross 2 game. So if it is an M cross 2 game, then upper envelope has to be considered. Since the problem does not possess any saddle point, let player B play the mixed strategy. SB is equal to B1 with Q1, B2 with Q2. And we know that Q2 is equal to 1 minus Q1 against player A. Now identify the points. A1 is 1 comma minus 3, A2 is 3 comma 5, A3 is minus 1 comma 6, A4 is 4 comma 1, A5 is 2 comma 2, A6 is minus 5 comma 0. So look at the values. The most negative value is minus 5. The most positive value is 6. So I am supposed to do or draw two parallel lines. So I will consider from minus 7 to plus 8 on both sides. So minus 7, minus 6, minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is axis 1. Same way, I will put the markings on axis 2. Okay. Now the first line, A1, was 1 comma minus 3. 1 in axis 2 and minus 3 in axis 1. So I will draw a line. This is line A1. Okay. Next, for A2, what are the points? 3 and 5. 3 along axis 2 and 5 along axis 1. So this will be point or line A2. Done. Next, for A3, it is minus 1 comma 6. Minus 1 in axis 2, 6 in axis 1. So this is the line. This is line A3. Next, A4 is 4 comma 1. 4 in axis 2 and 1 in axis 1. So this line will be line A4. Okay. Next, for A5 it is 2 comma 2. 2 along axis 2 and 2 along axis 1. So this is the line A5. Next, A6 is minus 5 comma 0. Minus 5 in axis 2, 0 in axis 1. So this line will be A6. So I have identified all the lines. I have drawn all the lines. Identify the topmost envelope. Upper envelope has to be identified. Right? Shade it. In this upper envelope, which is the lowest point. This is the lowest point in the upper envelope. So this will be your mini-max value. So this will be mini-max value. So which are the two lines involved in the point of intersection? This line and this line. So line A4 and line A2. So A2 and A4 are involved. B1, B2 you cannot skip. So A2, A4. only the matrix A2 and A4 has to be considered. It is 3, 5 and 4, 1. See, it is 3, 5 and 4, 1. So now it became a 2 cross 2 problem. You know how to solve it. So B1, B2, A2, A4, 3, 5, 4, 1 is the matrix. So A11 is 3, A12 is 5, A21 is 4, A22 is 1. So the optimal mixed strategy for SA is A1 is not picked, so probability 0. A2 is picked, so probability is P1. A3 is not picked, probability 0. A4 is picked, so probability P2. A5 is not picked, probability 0. A6 is not picked, probability 0. And in SB, you don't have a choice. Both B1 and B2 has to be considered. So B1 will be having probability Q1, B2 will be having probability Q2. So P1 is A22 minus A21 divided by A11 plus A22 minus A12 plus A21, which will be 1 minus 4 divided by 3 plus 1 minus 4 plus 5. You get a minus 3 by minus 5. Minus will get cancelled, so you get a 3 by 5 as the probability. If P1 is 3 by 5, P2 will be 1 minus P1. So 1 minus 3 by 5 is 2 by 5. So P1 and P2 are computed. Next go to Q1. Q1 formula is A22 minus A12 divided by A11 plus A22 minus A12 plus A21, which will be 1 minus 5 by 3 plus 1 minus 4 by 4 plus 5. So you will get a 4 by 5 for this. So if Q1 is 4 by 5, Q2 is 1 minus Q1. So 1 minus 4 by 5, which will be 1 by 5. So now I have got the values of P1, P2 and Q1, Q2. Find the value of the game. The value of the game is A11 into A22 minus A21 into A12 divided by A11 plus A22 minus A12 plus A21. So which will be 3 into 1 minus 4 into 5 divided by 3 plus 1 minus 4 plus 5. So 3 minus 20, because 3 ones are 3, 4 5s are 20. So 3 minus 20 divided by minus 5. So which will be minus 17 by minus 5, which will give the answer as 17 by 5. Okay. Now write the optimal strategies. For A1 it is 0. For A2, P1 value has to be written 3 by 5. For A3 it is 0. For A4, P2 value has to be written 2 by 5. For A5 it is 0. For A6 it is 0. Now coming for SB, Q1 value 4 by 5, Q2 value 1 by 5. Isn't it simple? Isn't the problem very simple? That's it. So all the problems in game theory till now are very simple. You will surely get 1 or 2 problems on game theory in your question paper. So obviously it will be very easy for you to solve. Anyhow, in the next session, we will be looking into M cross N problem or dominance property problem. So thank you. Thank you for your patient listening. Have a nice time. Enjoy. In the next session, let us meet. Till then, kindly be home and be safe. Thank you.